Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'm Bob.
I'm Karri.
And this is Life Redesigned. And in 2022, Karri and I decided that we had just turned 50 and we were done living a traditional manner. And we were going to hit the road full time in our RV. And well, we decided to share videos with you and our family and our friends. And we present RV life in a true average Joe point of view. There's no magical editing. There's no drone footage of galore. We are just out here living life and we're sharing that along with you. If you find that interesting and you want to be above the influencer hype, click that subscribe button and join our journey. Now, one of the things that we hear all the time is that there are tons of new people joining us. It seems like almost every day we get a couple of comments saying, I'm going full-time X amount of time. We just want you to know that we're going to see you on the road. And a lot of you offer to buy me a beer, even though I don't drink. I'll probably sit down and have one with you. But we all want to know is, what mistakes can we avoid? And what would you recommend for people that are just starting out? The first mistake that Karri is not going to make is that she's not going to trust this video being uploaded with some fly-by-night internet company. She's going to upload this with
Connected.
If you need truly mobile internet for just van life, mobile RV living, just hanging out down by the international waterways here in Sneads Ferry, North Carolina, you can count on Connected to get the job done. They are the official internet provider of Life Redesigned, and we could not think of a better company to partner with here on YouTube. All right, now that we got all that out of the way, it only took 4 takes. What do you have for the number one?
Number one mistake is not getting an RV inspection. And we talk about this all the time, but seriously, get the inspection.
Now, Karri doesn't play around about this anymore because we didn't get that inspection and we wish we had. And on top of getting that inspection, get it from a quality, reputable person, somebody that has experience doing this. There's a lot of fly-by-nights going around, YouTube especially, where they're just now all of a sudden they're experienced pros. Do your research, find a quality RV inspector in your area and get that RV inspected, whether it's new, whether it's used, whether even your Uncle Steve gave it to you in his will. Have it inspected before you take that on I-95 and be in front of me going through Florence, South Carolina.
Spend that couple $100 because it could save you hundreds to thousands later on.
Absolutely. And all jokes aside, get it done. Next one.
All right. Number 2, not having a set budget.
All right. This is where Moneybags here likes to give me a hard time, because one of us is spendy and one of us is thrifty. And when we hit the road, I don't know which one you're pointing to me about, but when we hit the road,
spendy,
we didn't really have a set budget. We had a budget at home and we just kind of figured we'd just run with that. And at first we were just hemorrhaging money right and left because we were going out to every party spot and doing all kinds of things. Hell, we were just sideways in Key West just a few months ago.
A couple times.
And it's just the way it goes. And then once in a while you look at your bank statement and you're like, I probably should have set a budget. Not only a budget for her drinking, but a budget for repairs, maintenance, stuff like that. And you go back through the archives, we're very transparent about our budget and how we spend money and how we now adhere to that budget. But having that knowledge of where you need to be makes all the difference, especially when she wants those $20 slushy drinks down in Key West. Next one.
I don't like those, you do.
I love them.
Anyway, not advance booking.
Yeah, now this one here, there's a lot of people that seem to think that with an RV park, and yes, I know there's people love to boondock and everything else. We've covered this before. We're not boondockers. We like the comfort and the convenience of an RV park. But advanced booking is required, period, especially if you're full-time. We book with Thousand Trails, we book 6 months out. Hell, I just booked a private campground 3 months out. But still, advanced booking is the way to go. There are some state parks, those big-time touristy ones that everybody likes to promote on YouTube. Those are now like a year out. And there was one that we just looked at in Myrtle Beach, 2 years out for reservations. That's crazy. So advanced booking are going to be your friend, and it will save you a whole bunch of headaches when you're starting to hit the road. Next one.
Not knowing your rig height.
Oh yeah, nothing like, you ever seen those videos? There's a bridge in
Get
Massachusetts. that
stuck underneath the
everybody-
bridge.
They get stuck on and they rips the top of the RV right off. You have to know your rig height. Rig height is very important, not only when you're traveling to smaller places like this and trees, stuff like that. I always like to know my rig height, and then in our GPS settings,
Yep.
I add a foot just in case some leprechaun pops up on the roof.
Where were we when we took a road that we weren't supposed to because there was no trucks,
Ohio.
travel trailers, or whatever, and we were like, oh no.
We wouldn't have fit, and we were about 3 inches
Yeah.
under the requirement. And the last thing you want to be doing, especially if you're doing night driving, is backing a rig up in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, and it's pitch black and you can't see anything. That's not a good time to have to make a U-turn on a road that's about this big. Ask me how I know. But those tomatoes at that campground were amazing. Next.
Yeah, not planning gas stops.
Okay, now I've talked about this before, and I'm going to say this again, just like you are my children. Stop for gas. And I'm not talking about when the light comes on. I'm talking about any time that you see the opportunity to get your setup through a gas station, stop and gas up. Yes, it's going to add time, but you'd rather do that than when you get in the middle of Kansas somewhere and your gas light just came on and you see that gas station stop ahead, and then you get there and they've been closed for 3 years and the nearest one is 50 miles down the road, and then you sweat the whole time, so much so that when you get off the driver's seat there's a puddle in the seat and she thinks you peed your pants. No, you're just nervously sweating.
Yep.
Stop for gas. Don't be like Bob.
Is not enough.
True.
Not testing hookups before unhitching.
Now this one I have to get better at myself, because nothing is worse than arriving somewhere, especially after hours or something in that situation, because this is when it's going to happen to you, that you're going to back into that spot or pull into that spot and you're going to hook everything up, you're going to get your rig level, you're going to get disconnected, and the electrical doesn't work, or the water doesn't work, or XYZ reason you just don't want to, you can't be in that spot. This happens more often than you would think. And it's much easier if you just tested that ahead of time, then you know what to expect.
Yeah.
All right, Karri, what's the next one?
Not knowing your RV systems.
Now listen, if people spend as much time worrying about their RV's internal systems as they do about what accessories are cool at the moment, the world would be a much friendlier place. I have seen personally, I don't know, maybe at least 10 people who have had power go out inside their rig and did not know how to reset it. And this is just from talking to people. Learn your systems. Learn how where your propane shutoffs are. Learn where your fuse box are. Learn what fuse controls what. Because a lot of these are not marked. That makes it even better. But learn simple little things, like on the Winnebago, there was a master shutoff that was outside the rig. There's all these little things that you need to know, and you can't just rely on the owner's manual.
No.
Pay attention. And if that dealer offers to walk you through your whole rig before you take possession and leave, spend the hour and go through it, because I didn't. Next.
Not being prepared for emergencies.
Okay, now this is a big one, because we've been to probably, 3 RV parks in the past 6 months that somebody's caught on fire or somebody's been taken out by ambulance.
Yeah.
And this just happened most recently at the last RV park we were at. Be prepared for emergencies, have a backup plan, fire extinguishers, make sure you're testing those inside your rig, make sure your smoke alarms work and they're working properly, and oh please, don't trust the one that came with your rig. Get a good quality fire alarm inside there. It makes a huge difference.
Yep.
And I don't care if you call it a fire alarm or a smoke detector, get something in there that's of quality. It will save your life or someone who lives with you. What's the next one, Karri?
Not checking the tires.
Take 5, not checking the tires. For those of you who don't know, well, this one's pretty much, Karri loves this part about me. I was a former sales manager for a Goodyear tire and rubber company in their retail stores out in New London, Connecticut, back in my 20s, back when I had hair and was much more handsome than I am now. But I had a great manager working with me who had about 30 years in with the company, and he bestowed upon me all kinds of tire knowledge, and it is something that's never left me. I only buy predominantly Goodyear tires, and I make sure that air pressure is always checked. I'm always up to date on my rotations. I take tire safety and care very seriously because, well, it's the only thing that's separating you from the road is that little bit of rubber. And especially when you're full-timers and you're hitting out the road, it's very easy to overlook all this stuff. And the last thing you want is your home in a ditch because you were too lazy to check the air pressure.
Or to be out in the middle of New York in a sketchy
Rest
park. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our first trip out, we didn't check the air pressure. And that was the one time because life happens, right? And I didn't check it. And our first trip out with our old rig, we had a blowout about 2 miles in, and we were in the middle of New York at the sketchiest rest area ever,
cool.
with pee bottles all over the place, changing a tire.
Yep. So last but not least.
Yes. Oh, what do you got?
You ready?
And our top advice for anybody who's looking to full-time and be new at this lifestyle is do not
watch too much YouTube.
And this is where a lot of YouTubers don't like me, and I'm okay with that because I call out the crap that I see. For far too long, too many YouTubers have been spewing all kinds of crap about this lifestyle. First, they hit you with how great it is with all the luxurious waterfall camping. Then they tell you that you need XYZ products, and then they flip-flop back when the new sponsor comes around and tells you you don't need those products, and those products are bad for you. And what we're seeing now is even worse because now they're all coming out after they were brand ambassadors and everything for every RV company under the sun. Now they're telling you, well, don't buy RVs because they're all garbage. Because, well, that's the newest trend in getting clicks. The reality is, take a deep breath, there are plenty of people out here living this lifestyle that did it before YouTube, and they'll do it back later when YouTube is all done and we've moved on to the next MySpace. It is just a quick source of revenue for a lot of these channels to clickbait you all over the place, and it is like being in a bad relationship. First you're told you're pretty, then you're smacked against the head. And that's how I feel all the time when I'm watching YouTube. And it's just the way it is. If you want an honest adventure and you want to get out there and do it the way it's been done for decades. As my father would say, this lifestyle has been going on since before I was an itch somewhere else. There's fish jumping around in the water here. And this is, again, these fish have been here before YouTube and they'll be here after YouTube because they're just fish. But that's the point of this, is that, you know, you need to live your life and do it your way. And too much influence can be actually a bad thing. YouTube has a tremendous amount of great, honest channels that present things in an honest, fair manner. And we like to present those from time to time when we find them. But there's an awful lot of bad out there because they just have their own little agenda. And it's up to you to pay attention and look for the signs along the way.
Yep.
That's it, Penelope. That's all I had today.
All right, Chuck.
We thank you for stopping by. And if you have any questions, by all means, leave a comment in the comment section below because Karri likes to answer every one of those questions. And yes, we're talking really, it's Karri. It's not some team of people answering the comments for her. It's not somebody else doing it and just pretending to be Karri. It is Karri answering those questions.
And thank you for being friendly. I appreciate it.
Until next time, I'm Bob.
I'm Karri.
And this has been Life Redesigned.